Good morning. Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We are going to be going over some of the highlights from the 2024 Salesforce Spring Release notes. For today's agenda, we will be going over release highlights that our experts have found in Nonprofit Cloud, Education Cloud, and then some other common features too. I'm really excited. I think you guys are going to get a lot of great information from this webinar. Let me go ahead and click. There we go. So real quick, if you guys are new to our webinars, I just wanted to introduce who Redpath Consulting Group is. Redpath has been amplifying mission-driven organizations for over 15 years. We have worked with over 400 clients, delivering 1,000 and growing projects. And we have a 4.95 out of 5 satisfaction rating, which really just reflects the trust in our outcome-focused Salesforce solutions. Our team is US-based and holds over 200 certifications and a combined total of 150 years of experience. Beyond technical expertise, though, the team is really passionate about aligning with our clients' missions and then really prioritizing that partnership to drive organizations and their missions forward. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce the two experts. These two have read through these release notes, spent hours and hours so that you guys don't have to. First, I wanted to introduce Sandra Peterson. She is a solution architect here with Redpath. Sandra has 13 years of experience in the industry and holds 12 Salesforce certifications. She is our in-house release notes guru. We also have Sean James, a senior Salesforce consultant with Redpath. He has 10 years in the industry and holds 5 Salesforce certifications. I got news that he just got a 5th certification this weekend, so kudos to him. And then rest assured, you guys are getting top-notch information from these two today. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Sean.
Thank you, Caitlin, for the introduction. Again, my name is Sean James, Senior Consultant here at Redpath, and we'll be reviewing the Spring 24 release notes that stood out to me in the nonprofit space. All right, next slide, please. All right. So the general updates that I'll be reviewing focus on supporting third-party integrations, new objects and fields to track outreach and payment data, and a new feature to support measuring ROI of your campaigns. Here are some of the key fundraising enhancement features to come out during the Spring 24 release. So there are new and improved objects in the fundraising app for Nonprofit Cloud, and there is new enhanced capabilities to provide unique links for outreach tracking. The next one as well, Caitlin. I will talk a little bit about these two in a second once I get to the next slides, but before I go into these two in more depth, the other 3 features are new to the Nonprofit Cloud, which is the ability to capture payment data in more detail. Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud users will be able to improve their efficiency by streamlining donor requests and simplifying account reconciliation. The improved payment data tracking methods covers payment method details. There's new transaction fees that can be captured, gateway and processor metadata. This is all helpful for managing integrations with third-party vendors and their gateways. Another new feature is the availability and the increased capacity to support third-party applications using the business process APIs. This API specifically allows users holding the fundraising access permission set to really manage integrations with new APIs to support matching and creating donors, matching and creating recurring donations, storing payment data from externally processed gifts, adding data to custom fields, and also submitting donation data in a single payload. So a lot of these integrations can now be stronger and more and increase your capacity bringing that data into Salesforce than you were able to do before. The last feature I want to share about on the fundraising side is split gift tracking. Now, users, again, with the fundraising access permission set, will be able to streamline the measurement of long-term ROI for recurring gifts by attributing the revenue from gift commitments across multiple campaigns. So a common request I get with my nonprofit clients is being able to track pledges, whether the paid payments or tracking those pledges across GAUs or across campaigns. Now, users will be able to allocate those transactions for those commitments proportionally to the influencing campaigns and are not limited to selecting one primary campaign source. This helps facilitate accurate ROI calculations for recurring donations. All right, so now I'm going to walk through one of the new changes. And so as I mentioned, there's been a significant increase in the amount of payment data points that can be tracked now. This is just one example. What you're seeing right now is the new payment instrument object, which is used to track, is for saving payment method information for transaction completion. It can also capture information about credit cards, bank accounts, and other payment methods, specifically for a person account, a gift transaction, or a gift commitment schedule. Additionally, we talk a little bit about being able to now have new auto-generated URLs for outreach tracking. Another pain point I see in the nonprofit space is wanting to see which marketing efforts are most effective in their campaigns and being able to quantify them. This particular feature or addition will allow you to either have individual source codes for each campaign, or if you prefer, you can bucket certain items together. And so for social media, you can be split between Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn by using specific source code URLs to track your gift count, your response rate, and your total gifts by the social media sources. And that's something that you weren't able to do before. And in this slide, you can see in some of the highlights how you can generate the URL. On the right-hand side of one of those screenshots, you can see the outreach summary that gives you the data summary around the URL that you've been using. So I think that's something that stood out to me as important to share with the nonprofit community. All right. Also, for those of you guys who are in nonprofit cloud and are utilizing Experience Cloud, these changes really support grant seekers and grantees in that space. So one of the first features I want to call out in the grant making side is that grant seekers can now add collaborators to complete grant applications in Experience Cloud. This feature specifically allows a grant seeker to work with other key staff for filling out applications. So if I'm a development director, I can fill out one section, but now through the option of adding the collaborator, I can assign, another section to the program director to fill out the budget, the program details section. And so now I have the ability to kind of share the load of completing an application with other people on my team without me having to share my license with them. So, you can be able to have collaborators on application, which just makes it more efficient to complete grant application submissions. The next feature, excuse me, in Experience Cloud is that grantees can now see how their spending matches their submitted budget because there's a new variance column in the budget management table that allows that opportunity. Another new feature is the create private funding opportunities. And so it gets a little tricky sometimes when you want to share most records for an object publicly, but then some of the records you want to be only visible to certain people, certain individuals. So in this particular update, grant making Experience Cloud sites can now show most funding opportunities to all users, but it also has the ability to show funding opportunities to a select invitation only set of users that's not publicly visible. And that is all powered with compliant data sharing, which is the next big feature that is out now in Spring 24 release, which the compliant data sharing feature lets admins and compliance managers configure advanced data sharing rules that can support and improve compliance with regulations and company policies. They can control and monitor what data gets shared with whom. And this feature is now also can be used in conjunction with the grant making side of nonprofit cloud through the connection of the compliant data sharing with the funding opportunity participant object, which is one of the objects in nonprofit cloud. All right. And then for any of you guys who are still not on nonprofit cloud and are still using NPSP, there has been a couple updates, not too many, but one of the key ones, which I've actually started using with a lot of my clients who are still using NPSP, is that there was an idea exchange that was delivered where the standard potential duplicates component can now be replaced with the NPSP potential duplicates component, which will take you directly to the NPSP contact merge, so you can fix and find and fix your potential duplicates contacts faster. And unlike the standard potential duplicate component that, if you can see in my screenshot, is the one that's not selected, that one used to cause errors where you would have your households that would be empty after merging. But now with the NPSP potential duplicates component, you can now replace it, navigate directly to the contact merge, and not have to worry about empty households anymore. And the last update for NPSP was really around just some security enhancement for volunteers for service. So that's really it for the Spring 24 release features for nonprofit clouds. Now I'm going to dig in to some of the common features across the Salesforce platform that I really appreciated. So I'm going to discuss some cool features in dynamic forms that allows us to see more information in one place. All right, so let's kick off with two features that I'll dig into in a second. But these features are the new read-only cross-object fields and the ability to see the API name. These two I'll talk about in a second, but these are the two features that I'm going to share out in a little bit more. But the other three that I'm going to discuss right now are the ability to open up dynamic forms for pinned region pages. And so if you're familiar with the Lightning record pages in Salesforce, there are different templates you can select. And for the longest time, you had the ability to use dynamic forms for most of the templates, but not all. And so now we've opened it up to allow dynamic forms to be used for pinned region pages, which is a template that you can select in the creation of a Lightning record page. Additionally, there is additional visibility for mobile devices. Previously, you could set visibility rules based on device form factor, on field sections, but not on individual fields. So now you can customize your desktop and your mobile Lightning record page even more granularly and restrict field visibility by device form factor, specifically either desktop or phone, which you were not able to do before. And lastly, there on the idea exchange, another one was delivered where we can now use dynamic actions with standard objects, which probably should have been done earlier, but now we can use dynamic actions with standard objects on your mobile device. So it's another win for all you dynamic forms users out there. All right, so this one I wanted to kind of just show you guys with the new cross object fields. This opens up our ability to see lookup relationships on our dynamic forms. And so in this slide right here, you can see that I've highlighted the account name. And so that account name is with that little arrow, is what denotes that this is a cross object field. So it's just another lookup field related to the contact, because right now I'm looking at a contact record page. And so once I click on that account name field, I will see all the list of I will see the list of all of the fields on the account. And then I can drag and drop those fields onto my Lightning page. So this is super helpful for any of you guys that have that have many formula fields. Unless if you don't want to worry about reporting, then you don't have to create a formula field in this particular situation. You can just navigate to your contact record, to your record, look for the cross object field, and bring and drag and drop any fields on that cross object onto your main page. So I think that's a super big win. It makes things a lot more efficient. And yeah, this thing is something that I will definitely be using a lot working with my clients. And then if you click on the next screenshot, you can now see that on top of the fact that you can drag and drop those cross object fields onto your page, but in the far right on my last screenshot, you are also able to see the API name in the component details section of the record page. This is super helpful because I've been in many situations where I'm trying to select the correct field based off the label, but that label has the same name as another field. And so rather than saving and testing the page back and forth, I can now have more information at my fingertips by looking at the API name right here on my screen, so I can make the right decision in the moment. So that's two big wins, I think. Again, for those of you who are using dynamic forms, will be able to take advantage of pretty quickly. All right, so let's dig in to some of the new flow features. So I'll be reviewing the updates to the transform element, the partially migration to the flow functionality. Actually, you can show all of them, Caitlin. Thank you. And the repeater comment in the next slides. But I'm going to focus on 3 of these features. So the big one that I want to share with you all is to save the progress of your flow. So typically, best practice is to think about the design of your flow prior to building it. But sometimes we run into issues where we need to think through an assignment or a loop. I might need to step away and come back again. And so previously, you had to make sure all your elements and components were populated correctly prior to saving. Now, in the Spring 24 release, you can save your progress with warnings. So you'll still be told with errors and the warnings exist, but now you can save your flow to come back to it later, which is it's just a big change, a game changer in terms of being able to edit flows and be able to come back to it later without having to figure everything out in that moment. So being able to save it and save your progress is significant. Another cool feature right below it is maintaining previous selections when searching data table. So with this feature, if you're using the data table component in flows, you can now maintain your selections. What does that mean? When using the data table to search for records, typically, if you go back to search, you can keep searching. I'm sorry. Previously, if you search for data in your data table and you went back to the search again, it would clear out everything you selected. And so now, when using the data table to search for records, you can now preserve your selections. So if you go back to search, you can just keep searching and adding without your selections being removed. So that's definitely a time saver for those of you who add in data tables into your flows. The last feature I will talk about here on this slide is identifying flows with email alerts. So in the flow details page, you can now see a new section where it tells you what email alerts are within your flow. That's just a nice little add-on that should have been done before, but now it's there to allow us to be able to see what email alerts are there before we even enter into a flow. All right, so let me dig into a couple of these features. The first one is the transform element. So with the transform element, you can now aggregate the source collection and map it to a target field. Previously, you had to use an assignment element to be able to calculate a count or a sum. So this ability to aggregate the source collection, if you can see in this screenshot that I'm sharing, under the aggregate section, I can select the source collection. I can select the type of aggregation, and I can map it directly to the target. And that it can all be done within the transform element, which would have taken multiple steps prior to this new feature. So that's something I want to share with you all today. Additionally, now for those of you who might still have process builders or flows and need to migrate those to, sorry, if process builders or workflows, I need to migrate those to flows. We have that migrate to flow tool that's been out for a little bit now. And prior to this release, you were only allowed to do full migrations. And so now, when selecting the process to migrate, it will let you know whether or not the migration will be full or partially migratable. So if it's partially migratable, what will happen is that when you hit the migrate to flow button, it will let you know, it'll provide you a needs review section with a list of actions needed to configure before that flow can be fully migrated. And so that's a nice win. So you should see like, okay, I have these workflow rules or process builders that can be fully migrated, or there's some that can be at least partially migrated. So I can at least get to the point where I can just do some minor changes after it's been partially migrated. So I think this is also a neat feature in the spring release. Lastly, what I want to talk to you guys about, and then you guys can stop hair in my mouth and maybe pass off to Sandra, but the last quick piece is the repeater component. So this is 100% a new component that allows anyone that's trying to fill out forms to complete a section more than once. And so in my example here, I'm adding beneficiaries and want to be able to add multiple beneficiaries. And so I'm having to complete the same section multiple times. And so in my screenshot, you can see that there's two key things. There's the add button and the remove button. And so the add button allows me to add that same section over and over and over again for as many beneficiaries as I want to add. And then the remove button just removes the section if I don't need it. And so the repeater component just basically pulls in data multiple times for me to add or remove with whatever field I want to capture within the component. So it's a pretty simple component, but it packs a lot of power. And I think you'll see here that it is in beta stage. So, we will probably see some enhancements and changes in the future. But for right now, I feel like it fits some easy wins for folks who are using flow and screen flows. All right, well, I think that was most of the things I wanted to talk about today. I'm going to hand it over to Sandra to discuss some other common features. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sean. I really love hearing about all the new NPSP, nonprofit, and some of those common changes. I'm going to continue with some of the common core functionality that has enhancements to it with lightning reports and dashboards. So some of the really great features that have come out for reports and dashboards in this round has been that we now can have access to some features that were only for unlimited users at one time, and also things that were available in Classic that we may have been missing. So some of these are transferring dashboard ownership. Text, image, and widgets are all available in all editions now. We're able to rearrange multiple report columns and also to filter report types based on objects and fields. So let's just really dig into the first one, which is transferring dashboard ownership. So this is for individuals where you might have a specific dashboard that you want to change it, and in the past you've had to go in and actually edit it. But now you can go into the dashboard list view, and on the right-hand side, click down and click change owner, and be able to change the owner on that dashboard, which makes this really helpful for being able to provide access to that new owner. The next feature is transferring dashboard ownership in mass changes. Now, this is something where you would go into the analytics tab and similar functionality, you would click which dashboards you're going to change. And then on the right, you would, manage those items and then change the owner en masse. This is going to make your life so much easier when someone leaves the organization, and you can change all their dashboards to the new hire or to a new executive that's going to be managing those reports. Now, this is a big change. Widgets are now available to all. So this used to be something that was available to only those who had unlimited. But now they have upped the number of total widgets on a dashboard so that there's 25 total widgets allowed on a dashboard. And let's just play that out. So that could include a combination of up to like 20 charts and tables, 3 images, and say 2 text widgets. So that adds a lot of functionality for you to be able to use. The limits do have it, like you can only have maybe 3 images. You could have up to 25 rich text widgets, but that's an eye chart that I think none of us want to look at. But it's really exciting that that they're bringing in some of these unlimited features into the functionality now for all of us to use. And then the next one is rearranging multiple columns. Now, I love this one. It used to be in Salesforce Classic. I used it all the time. But I think that what you are going to find really helpful when you start digging into this is that in the columns on the left-hand side, you're going to be able to highlight multiple and then move them up so that they're all at the top or all at the bottom, or, you can move them in mass. And so you're not, individually moving these 5 fields that you all wanted at the top. And so I think that that is going to be something that you'll be happy to see again, that was available in Classic and is now back in Lightning. And then we're able to filter reports by objects or fields. Now, this is also a big change that I think is going to be really helpful for us, because as you can, sometimes you're building a report and which fields that you want to have be in this report. Maybe they're on different objects, or which objects you want to be related in this report, but you don't know exactly what report type that is. So now you can go into, creating a report, and then you can click that filter report types, which you can see over there is on the right-hand side after the search report types. You click on filter report types, and then you can choose objects or fields and put in the objects or the fields that you want to be as part of that report, and click, apply, and it'll bring up the different report types so that you can select which one you want to use to start your report on. I think this is an awesome addition to being able to build reports and to make it faster and easier as we do that. So another thing that I'm really passionate about and that I'm super excited to see being built into Salesforce ecosystem more and more is AI. I think AI is the wave of the future. It's going to save us a lot of time with clicks and code. And we're really going to be able to use this to move our employees off of doing individual tasks so that they can be handled through automation, and they can actually focus on those relationships with our clients and our customers. So that's why I'm super excited. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, excuse me. First thing I'm going to talk about is Einstein Copilot. Now, this became generally available on the 25th of April, so it's brand new, and it does require new licenses. So you do have to have licenses to use Copilot in your org, but I just recommend, I am so excited. I can't wait to start using this. So the different features that are involved in that make up Einstein Copilot is a conversational assistant. So you're able to put in inputs or requests into Salesforce in everyday language that you understand, and the computer is able to come back with suggestions and prompts that make sense to you. It's AI generated responses. We're really leveraging that, Chat GPT, that AI that we're maybe starting using in other in other applications that we have. It interacts with natural language prompts, and there are a library of actions for Einstein's Copilot. And then what makes it so awesome is that it is grounded in business data that you have already collected in Salesforce. So I did a little bit of the work for you. You can go in and start up a Einstein AI demo org, and there are some different trailheads that you can use, but I went through one and I want to show you how it worked and kind of give you an idea. So first you have to turn on Einstein. So you know you have the licenses, and you search Einstein in the search bar and setup, and then you turn on Einstein. It's that easy. You just turn it on. You give it a minute to think. And then you turn on the Copilot, which again is just clicking it on and waiting for it to boot up in the system for everything to download. Now, I want you to just take a quick look at this Get to Know Einstein Copilot, and you can see down at the very bottom, it says Copilot label. So it comes with a Copilot that's already set up for you to use, that has some of those features and functionalities, those actions. So out of the box, you're going to be able to start using this on day one, which is what we all want to do. We want to buy something, we want to turn it on, we want it to work. So I want to give you kind of a view into Copilot. So if you click onto that Copilot builder that's down the bottom that I was talking about, it brings up this first section in the green that gives you details, actions, system messages, and language settings. And so this is where you can, see those actions. So what are the different actions that Salesforce gives us out of the box? You're able to identify objects. You're able to summarize records. You're identify records by name, query records. It has all of those actions already built in there so that you can leverage those. And then the next tab is system messages. You're able to see what kind of error messaging comes out and put in, what level of messaging for errors you want to be shown in Salesforce. And then it also gives you the opportunity to set up language settings. So you can say if you want it to be very professional or casual. Out of the box, it comes with kind of a casual language setting that you can communicate with, but you can change that as you build your own Copilot in Salesforce. So I kind of wanted to show you how this test Copilot works. So if you take a look at it, you can see that there are the actions that we talked about already, and then it goes through and chugs through this dynamic plan as it works. So in the bottom right-hand corner, I asked it gives you, "Hi, I'm Einstein at your AI assistant. What can I do for you?" And I wanted it to summarize Burlington Textiles Corp of America. Now, this is one of the companies that is already in the org that has some information on the account, contacts, opportunities, and cases. And you can see in the summary, it comes up with information about what is Burlington Textiles Corp of America. It talks about it being a public company. It tells me who maybe their VP of facilities is. So one of their main contacts gives me information on opportunities that have been won and cases that have been resolved. And I can see this going into Salesforce and being very helpful for our account managers when they want to go in and have a quick summary and not maybe have the time to go through all of the contacts, opportunities, and cases that are related to that account. And this is why I think AI is going to be so transformative in the Salesforce space, because it gives us this kind of functionality where we can really leverage that and give our account executives and salespeople more time to think and work. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is Prompt Builder. So Prompt Builder allows you to put in information, to get information out of AI and build it into like your records. So on this one, I have a little example that I'm going to show you where we built it out on the case object. So the first thing that Prompt Builder has as a feature is you can develop custom templates. So you can build all kinds of prompt builders that populate all kinds of fields that you can ask multiple questions from. You can also create and manage language prompts. You can ground information in CRM data, and then it does have this toxicity traffic light rating. So the information that comes back to you from the AI, it can tell you if it's maybe has language in it that isn't appropriate, that you and stop you from using that right away. So I'm going to just jump into how I created a new prompt template and how that worked. Again, I did the work for you, and this you would see in Trailhead when you go through a little bit on your own. But here I'm going to create a new prompt template, and I'm just going to do field generation. It's going to be a quick summary. It's on the case object, and it's on the field quick summary. So that just took a minute, right? And then we're going to add instructions to this template. Now here, the work was already done in the Trailhead, but this is where the real thought needs to go into, you know, what are you going to be doing with this prompt? What information do you want it to get out of the records and information that you already have in Salesforce? And how are you going to push that into the field to be used by your service people who are actioning on these cases? So this one, you're going to see that it's asking AI to summarize the related case comments and then to pull out information from specific fields, the case subject, priority, and type. So when you do that, so I set that up and I save it, and then I want to see how this works in action. So I'm going to show you. We go to the case, and on the case, you can see the field that we set up, which is the case summary field here. And on it highlighted in yellow is this little star, and you click that star and it brings up a text box from Einstein saying, you know, that, and it starts working on that summary that you've already put the instructions in the prompt builder to do. So you can choose to use or not use the information that comes out. You can edit it, but it tells you, you know, this case pertains to the electrical wiring installation, what the action involved was, and that the case is currently waiting the customer's reply. So I can use this or not use this. I'm going to say click use, and it's going to say it's added to the field. So it actually automatically adds it into the field on Salesforce, and then you would save that case record. It would become part of the case. Now, if I ever wanted to go in and update that case update the next time I open the record, I would just click on that star again. It would run the summary and update it. So let's say the customer called back and the case was resolved, or the customer called back and had additional issues, that would update into this field. And that really saves your client, your service person, a lot of time in how they are actioning on this case and talking to the customer. It runs very quickly so that they're picking up a call, they're hitting that summary update, and then they're talking to the client about the status and summary of their case. Excuse me. And you can see in the next visual that it is saved in that object on the case. So that's kind of prompt builder in action for you in just a couple minutes. But I think that, you know, think about AI and how it can really improve your business. And I hope you enjoyed just seeing a little taste of that. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is Education Cloud and the updates from Education Cloud. This is kind of a quick overview of what is came out for Education Cloud. And I just want to give a little plug for anybody who's still using EDA. And I know a lot of us are. I mean, I'd say the majority of us are still using EDA. We had it set up. There are ways now for us to move that into an Education Cloud org, and Education Cloud is like the wave of the future. So Salesforce is building all of their new functionality in Education Cloud. They're not really improving EDA at this time. They've kind of moved away from that. So I want you to, I hope you enjoy seeing some of the features that are coming out in the Education Cloud, and we'll be able to see how you might be able to improve your business as you start working through some of these. So some of the things we're going to talk about today are dynamic applications and how those are improving Education Cloud. The reviewer seeing which stage an applicant is working on. This is a really big improvement, because the reviewer can actually see where the applicant has left off in the application process. And so if someone's following them, they can give them a call and say, hey, I see you're kind of stuck here. Can I help you? Or, something to that event. It gives them an opportunity to call. And then the modular application components can be reused for multiple applications. And the third-party applications, parents now and international agents can submit on behalf of students. And this is a big deal, because in the past, they were not able to do this easily. It had to be customized. And now it's right out of the box. So I'm just going to dive in and kind of show you some screenshots I may or may not have borrowed. And I would say I did borrow them from Salesforce. This first one shows you how a student can now fill out parts of the application, but they can do them in the order that they want to. They don't need to submit it all at one time, where in the past they filled out their application and then they had to submit that, or else they would lose everything, or they'd save it for later, but they'd have to do it in the specific order. But now they can fill them out as they have that information. So let's say they fill out their profile and their family information, but they need to think about their secondary schools or colleges. They can come back to it later and work on it. And then this next slide is what I was talking about for the reviewer. This is what I think is super exciting, is that now we can see where that student left off in the portal. Are they still working on the profile? Are they stuck on filling out the college information or the test results? Is there some way that we can have our recruiter give them a call and see if they need help completing that application, or, just really understand where they are in the process and how they can help them? And I think that really makes it clear. It just gives us a clear direction on how we can help our students and how we can move them from being an applicant to being an actual student at the education, at that college or university or high school, if it's a specific high school. So those were the big changes to the recruiting and admissions. But one of the pieces that came out in this release that I also really like is that mentorship now has a set of objects that you can set up mentorship for students. So you can create a mentoring program, you can support the learners, and you can it has all of these objects now that allows you to really do all the different things that you need to mentor that student. So you can make them visible out on the portal so that they can sign up for mentoring. You have the information that you need for individuals that will be part of that mentoring program, be it internal staff or maybe alumni that are helping with that mentoring. They'll be able to come into a portal or be able to sign into Salesforce and enter information that they need or sign agreements that they need. So I just wanted to let you know about this so you can start thinking about it if mentorship has been something that you've really needed or wanted to move forward with in education and you haven't found a great way to do it yet. I think you will find this module very exciting, and I encourage you to go out and take a look at what Salesforce has started to build out there. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to turn it back over to Caitlin.
Thank you both, Sandra and Sean. That was all amazing information. I am going to open it up. Feel free to put in the chat or the Q&A if you guys have any questions. But I did also just want to extend a thank you to Sean and Sandra, because you guys have put countless hours of work into this. And it's really, really much appreciated. I also just wanted to note too that this has been recorded. So we will be sending out the recording to everyone who participated and registered, and it will be out on our website. So if you did have to hop off early, no problem at all. You can just go into the recording and start up where you had to jump off. I'm just going to take a couple more moments here to see if we have any questions coming in. Alrighty, if we don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and end early. Thank you all for taking the time this morning to come and listen to us. We really appreciate it. Have a good day.